Well, I got it in memory of a friend of mine who committed suicide last year.
Just a meaning of hope for me. They make you happy is what it is. It comes down to, they just plain make you happy when you see them. They're just so beautiful, you know.
I definitely believe that there's a stigma that goes hand in hand with tattoos and piercings.
I think just because of the way I was brought up and sometimes how our society is, that it is easy to judge somebody based off of the tattoos they have. And
it's just a bias based on how someone looks, which is something we should be getting further away from as we advance as society anyway. We shouldn't be judging people based on how they look, so.
Some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in this world are covered in tattoos and piercings, and some of the worst bigots out there are in suit and ties without a single bit of tattoos or piercings on them.
I just don't think it's fair for people to make judgments based on just like, oh look, they have a tattoo, and then just generalize that kind of stuff.
Just because of this is what I do, it doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not in a gang. I'm not robbing people. I didn't get the idea to start being a hoodlum just because I put some holes in my face.
Years ago, it was probably more so a rebellious thing.
But the only people that had tattoos back when I was young were bikers and people that you wouldn't want to normally associate with.
Nearly all of my family was opposed to it. They didn't think that it would be a respectable career or a feasible career. They just thought it was, as the stereotypes are, like just for sailors and criminals and things like that. They didn't think tattooing was really a viable career.
Where it has been problematic in the culture, and you see it as it relates to gang identity.
Some of the biggest teddy bears I've ever met in this world are covered, and they make me look I have nothing. They make me look like I have absolutely no tattoos, no piercings, and they're twice as happy and friendly as I am.
I think it's unfortunate that some people do, still look at tattoos like they did back, once again, when I was your age. I think that's really unfortunate.
The current research indicates that it's becoming more acceptable by the public in having tattoos. People having those. Our latest research indicates that customers prefer people who do not have tattoos.
when I decided to get my tattoos, I made sure that they were places that I could cover up just in case. I got a job in a place that I wasn't supposed to have tattoos, or even just like I have a couple of babysitting jobs, and I didn't want, I knew how my parents raised me in being against tattoos, and I didn't want to interfere with how like parents were raising their kids.
There is still a strong sentiment among hiring officials, particularly human resources people, that visible tattoos may have a detrimental effect on the hiring process. For example, if you wanted to work for Disney, in one of the theme parks, Disney has a particular dress code or a code in which there are no visible body art. So if you have something on your neck, guess what? You're not working at Disney.
I've had young girls come in, they'll spend, up to $100 on a nose piercing and have to come back 3 days later to get it taken out because it comes down to the nose piercing or the job.
But even I had a job at Fairway grocery stores even, and I know you weren't supposed to have visible tattoos there, so like it's not even career jobs, like even some localer places, it's something that is still a prevalent discussion. Even just one that might have a big significance to you could potentially to an employer, hold a different meaning.
I feel like it's kind of silly that people would make other people cover up their tattoos at work, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, etc. I just feel like it's silly because it doesn't change the person.
You know, if you're gonna discriminate someone, or if you're gonna fire someone over their personal expression, we might as well have mandatory, uniforms that we have to wear on a daily basis.
Lots of offices, people have to have like suits and ties, and they've got to be covered up. So I understand to an extent, but I still think it's kind of silly.
Now, my bottom line to keep the company running, I've got to keep my customer happy. I've got to create a positive customer interaction. If I deem it or perceive it being a negative, then that would be a poor hiring decision on my part.
I mean, a lot of people are proud of their tattoos and their work, and there's a lot of stories that you can hear and learn from, so it's just something to keep in mind, I guess.
And I've always, from little on, enjoyed monarchs. And I was always fascinated by the fact that they start out as a bug on a flower or whatever, and they turn into the worm, and then they turn into this beautiful thing.
So I got this one on my wrist. So I have anxiety and depression, and the X stands for the bad times, bad moments, and then there's a semicolon, and that means that you have to pause, and you can't totally stop a sentence. You just pause in the sentence. So when you have bad times, you can't just stop everything. You just have to pause and then keep going. You keep going towards the cross.
I got it a long time ago, and this one definitely has meaning. I work at Upper Iowa University, and that's where the peacock comes in. These two things, the praying hands and the peacock, have made a huge positive impact on my life.
So it was a friend that I had met. I actually had met him through playing Pokemon as a younger individual. So I kind of met him through a league for that, and he's my best friend growing up through my teenage, early teenage years. So I'd known him for about 7 years, and we were actually college roommates last year. And he committed suicide, and it was just pretty hard to lose a friend that you had for a long time, to just suddenly lose it. So it was just a really sudden and kind of drastic change that really just kind of weighed down on me for a long time, and it's definitely something that impacted me on not just an emotional, but even a physical level. So it's just a pretty big burden for me for a while.
They sort of make you happy. They make you happy is what it is. It comes down to, they just plain make you happy when you see them. They're just so beautiful, like your hummingbirds and how unique they are makes them something I want to find myself looking at, and they're here only for a short time, like the monarchs are.
It's just something I wanted to do to make sure I never really can forget that. Not that I feel like I would, but then it's just some way to always remember getting through that, basically.
Yeah, there's some talk, well, what's that doing to our youth, and should they have to have those covered? Where do you draw the line? I mean, tattoos are so prevalent anymore. Tattoo shops, even up where I work, I mean, there's people, guys and gals, students that walk around, they got them all over the place. It's just something that society is gonna have to deal with. I mean, it's their choice. Does it hurt anybody else? Absolutely not.
People are still kind of prejudiced or biased against in jobs and careers, but it's slowly becoming more acceptable.
I'm sort of proud of them, so even if they said something, I really wouldn't care.
My body, and this is what I want to do with it,
Whenever I meet someone, I try to be as genuinely positive and fun and nice as possible, because if that one person walks away with me changing their view on heavily tattooed and pierced people, then that's a good thing, A tattoo artist's job is to help someone feel comfortable in their own skin. If you are bringing happiness and joy to someone's life by drawing a pretty picture on them, where does anyone else get the right to tell you that that's wrong?